Welcome back. This is episode 2 of Searching for Canada Through the Census. My name is Lisa Elvin Staltori, and I'm a genealogist and a passionate traveler. And we are now knee deep into this series that I've produced, kind of looking at all of the census that Canada has held in anticipation of the release of the 1931 census. In this particular episode, we're going to be looking at the 1861 census and what it told us. Now, remember, this is the very last census before Confederation. So this is the last time that we're going to look at Canada as a true colony of Great Britain. So with that being said, let's get started and look at the 1861 census. So now we're going to turn our attention to the 1861 Canada Census. Now remember, it is now called Canada, but it's not yet a country. So let's explore what was going on in the world around and in Canada during the preceding decade. So the decade prior to the 1861 census would see the first stamp issued by Canada. Canada is becoming its own actual country, 1852, we've got the Grand Trunk Railroad Company established with the actual railroads coming into play. 1854, we have the first university, Université de Laval, is established. 1854, on the world scene, we have the Crimean War. 1858, we have the Fraser Gold Rush in British Columbia. 1859, Charles Darwin publishes On the Origin of Species. Can you imagine what that would have represented to people just out there, 1860, Abraham Lincoln is elected, and by 1861, the American Civil War is declared. So the 1861 census form, there are now 3.2 million Canadians. This was an increase of 32%, not too shabby. The dates of January 14th were Ontario and Quebec. March 30th was Nova Scotia. August 15th is New Brunswick. And 1861 throughout it was Prince Edward Island. And the reason I give those dates is it's important to think about the fact that maybe, you're looking for somebody and they're in Ontario, but they were born January 1st. They may not have appeared on that census. Or you're in Nova Scotia looking for it. Knowing the dates of a census is one of those really small details that can actually have a huge impact. So let's have a look at the kind of questions that were contained in the 1861 census. We have column 1, the names of inmates. So I just love that term. Nom des personnes qui habitent la maison in French. Column 2, profession, trade, or occupation. Profession, métier, ou occupation. Column 3, place of birth, lieu de naissance. Column 4, were they married during the year? Mariés durant l'année. Column 5, religion. Column 6, residence if not in limits. So we want to know, are they part of that township? Column 7, age at next birthday, âge au prochain anniversaire. Column 8, we want to know if they're male or female. And we also want to know, are they married or single? Column 11, we're going to ask, are they widowers or are they widows? Are they veuf ou veuve, male or female? Column 13, interesting, colored persons, mulatto or Indian. So now they've grouped it. If you remember, in the 1851 census, they were looking at Indians and Negroes, they called it. Now they're calling them mulatto or colored persons. Personnes de couleur, mulâtre ou sauvage. Column 14, residents, members of the family that are male. Column 15, residents, members of the family that are female. Les membres de la famille qui sont femelles. Column 16, residents not family members. Are they male? Column 17, not family members, female. Column 18, who's absent that's a man that should be there. Who's absent that's a female but and should be there but is not. And column 20, deaf and dumb, sourd et muet. So we have column 21, they're going to ask, are they blind? they're going to ask in column 22, lunatics or idiots. Column 23, are they attending school within the year? This would be for men or boys. Attending school within the year, female, girls. Column 25 would be persons over 20 who cannot read and write. This is the first. They're asking who cannot. And persons over 20 who cannot read and write, female. Important to look at those columns and see if there's a check mark. Column 27, births in 1860. How many of those, was that a birth in that particular household? Male. Column 28, we have births in 1860, female. Column 29, number of males, morts, the number of males dead in 1860, the number of females dead in 1860. And the number, and remember, this is just 1 year. Remember, that's what they're talking about. Column 31, and any deaths in 1860, what was the age and the cause of death? So here we're going to be looking at what kind of house construction. We have column 32, houses. Were they made of brick, stone, frame, log, etc., etc.? Column 33, number of stories. Maison, nombre d'étages. Column 34, the number of families living in a house. Le nombre de familles habitant la maison. In column 35, is this house vacant? Maison fermée. And number 36, the houses being built. Maison en construction. So let's have a look at the 1861 census for my 2 times great grandma. Adeline is now 14 years old. She's still an Adventist. You can see the religion. Now here we have her actual family. Remember in the 1851 we couldn't see. So Dennis and Lucy above her were there on the 1851 census. But my 3 times great grandfather, Furbish Burbank, with Sarah Burbank, his wife. And then we have Asher and Luther and all the Burbanks are in there. And so what we want to look at is, again, you can see the MMM, okay? So they're actually married. And Asher is actually living in the United States. And so that was interesting when I was like, oh, where is he? And so let's have a look at Adeline is single. So obviously at 14, but you never know. And let's have a look at my French-Canadian great-grandma. So now we have Emily Gilmet, and she is now 12 years old. She is female, and she goes to school. And so we're basically looking, there's no question about her being deaf or blind or any of that, just a very basic. But what you want to do when you're looking at a census for a family, I want you to look beyond just the person you're looking for, because maybe there is something that will tell you that one of those family members is suffering from an ailment or is, physically challenged, that sort of thing. So, and that impacts a family, that impacts people. So we want to know as much as possible. So that's what the census really is for us genealogists. It's a living, breathing thing. And we need to learn how to read it, if you know. It's not just numbers on it really tells the story of a family. So thank you for joining me on episode 2 as we explored the 1861 census. I want to give you a few resources. Counting Canada, a genealogical guide to the Canadian census by daveobee is a phenomenal read. And I've contacted Dave, and he has provided me the links, so I've given you the information to order the book. In order to look at actual censuses, I would like you to look at ancestry.com or CA, MyHeritage, Family Search. All this for genealogy, very Canadian-focused genealogy website. Absolutely recommend it. And then we have the Canada Government of Canada Libraries and Archives Canada, and for you to have a look at that as well. So today we've completed the 1861 census. Onward and upward to episode 3 when we look at the 1871 census. I'll see you then.